Hi, it's Miguel Marte here in Los Angeles, and today we're talking about the C.A.R form, the COBR, cancellation of buyer or tenant representation. This form officially ends the agency relationship between a broker and a buyer or tenant who was previously under a representation agreement like the BRBC or the PSRA. Now let's walk through it section by section, and you can just follow along here, right? So line 1, these are the parties and property. This line identifies the broker, right? This is the firm's name, the buyer and tenant. It also identifies the date the original representation agreement was done. And you'll fill this out exactly as it appears on the initial buyer representation agreement. For example, the name, date, and property purpose. Right? So example, if it was for residential or commercial, it clarifies that this cancellation applies to the buyer's efforts to locate and acquire real property and manufactured home or leased property. Now in line 2, notice of cancellation of buyer representation. This section is the core of the form. It explains that either party, broker, or buyer / tenant can cancel the agreement by signing and delivering this notice to the other. However, it reminds you that compensation may still be owed based on what's written in the original representation agreement. All right. Now in paragraph 2A, this is the notice. This is where you state who is initiating the cancellation. You'll check one of these boxes if it's the buyer, the tenant, if it's the broker, or if it's both. By signing below, the party is giving formal notice that the representation and agency duties are terminated. Now, paragraph B is effective date of cancellation. Here's where you'll pick how and when the cancellation takes effect. Unilaterally cancellation, it was a non-exclusive representation. Cancellation is effectively immediately or after a set number of days you write in. If it was an exclusive representation, it's effective 30 days after receipt, unless your contact allows a shorter time. 2. Mutual cancellation. If both sides agree to end it, you can make the cancellation effective immediately or after a certain number of days from the last signature. Now in paragraph 2C, scope of cancellation, you can choose whether this cancellation applies to one of the two. So number 1, all properties covered under the agreement, or number 2, only one specific property. If you check both box 2, there's a subsequence A and B. A, the original representation still applies to the other properties, or B, if checked, this section also refers to the C.A.R form BRBC paragraph 2G2, which means the broker is withdrawing because the seller refused to pay and the buyer cannot cover the broker's fees. It even references the CAC form, and this is the cancellation of contract, and we'll go over that probably in the next video if you need to end representation tied to that specific deal. Now in paragraph 2D, this is the agency. This section clarifies that once cancellation becomes effective, the broker no longer is working for the buyer and it is, or the tenant. That means you can't advise or negotiate on their behalf anymore, and if the buyer has any questions about the property after this, they must contact the listing agent, housing provider, or a new broker, or get legal counsel. Now paragraph 2E, compensation due to broker. This part explains how compensation, commission, or fees might still apply after the relationship ends. There are 2 ways it can work. Number 1, the buyer pays the broker as outlined in the original representation agreement, right? You got to pay that money up. Typically, for any property where the broker was involved during this agreement or continued, the broker must give the buyer a list of properties within the 5 days of the cancellation become ineffective. Right? You can't come like 2 weeks later, like, nah, sure. No, you have to get it right away as soon as you guys cancel. So, two, if this is a mutual cancellation, the parties can agree on custom terms. A, reimbursement out of pocket costs. B, broker receives a referral fee. C, no compensation owed. Or D, other, where you can specify a specific amount or arrangement. Now for paragraph 2F, buyer to obtain other advice. Finally, the form advises the buyer or tenant to get independent professional advice from real estate, legal, tax, title, or insurance experts before making future decisions. That's standard CAR form language meant to protect both sides. Now, right here is the signature section. At the bottom, there are two options. Mutual cancellation box, both buyer, tenant, and broker sign confirming they agreed and received copies. Unilateral cancellation box means only the canceling party signs and the other initials to confirm they received the notice. Once signed, the relationship is officially terminated and you can both move forward freely. Now, just to wrap up, that's the CAR form, COBR, cancellation of buyer representation. It's straightforward, but it's critical for maintaining professionalism and avoiding confusion about agency or commission rights right after, the party decides to split ways, right? Protecting you and also with the client. So it's Miguel doing his best, doing my best. Shout out to the avatar here. Doing the best to break down every CAR form in place.